This is the title poem, Here Among the Sacrificed. Steve will remember Mojo. Mojo lies sleeping on cardboard in front of the open door, his old tramp body softly bouncing to the rattle chant of freight train wheels. There is a certain elegance here among the sacrificed. Sunrise slamming cold against desert mountains, the first dusty shafts of boxcar light. And loneliness, too, finds its mark on these men who bang across America, walking through endless tunnels of gloomy midnight empties, hunting water for their small, sad jugs, too tired or drunk to climb another coupling. Kick me off the train? Why, you sons of bitches ought to be paying me to ride 'em. And Mojo sleeps through the gold Nevada morning, his dreams somehow warmed by the steel clack and shudder that keeps me on my feet thinking of home. Mojo, even cranky old Jeffers, if he were alive, couldn't help but love your shabby humanness. And what do we got here? Time out. This poem's called The Midnight Ghost, and I kind of wrote it in memory of Jack Kerouac, but I really wrote it for Mike O'Connor. So it's in memory of Jack Kerouac and for Mike O'Connor. All day we waited for that run along the sea, L.A. to San Francisco on the hot-shot freight called the Midnight Ghost. The hobos named her this for her elusive nature. Leaves with the setting sun planting roses across the dark Pacific. Then flies all night through blowing fog, that ribbon of steel, that feathery shore of moonlight on the breaking surf. This was your old run, my friend, the Midnight Ghost, the beat line, the spectacularest railroad you'd ever in your wildest little dreams want to ride, like a kid's dream. Jack, sitting in a boxcar that night in San Luis Obispo, drinking with friends, I saw through foggy yard lights a cut of cars roll slowly past, the moan and squawk of wheels like exotic beasts headed for extinction. And I thought then how your gentle stories helped find the back doors to America, and how sad to see new critics rob with ease the grave and blame the dead. But Jack, the Midnight Ghost still runs that stretch you loved to ride, when boots rolled in a coat made a pillow, and your blood's only blanket was a poor boy of wine. And one more little one that I never read, but my friend Hal Gaskell's here tonight, and I wrote this for Hal, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Hobo Jungle Jingle. There's a jungle by the tracks, a hobo jungle by the tracks. Sleep all night with clickety-clack, clickety-clack. 3 old beaux using cardboard as a mat. Dream all night to clickety-clack, clickety-clack. And when I die, I hope I go fast, right in sweet eternity, clickety-clack. Okay, well there's the freight trains. Like Mike said, actually Steve and I did this first trip, the south of the Yangtze trip with Bill in 1991. And I'm just going to read I wrote a little preface. It's just short, but I'll read it, give you a little backstory of what's going on there. In the summer of 1991, I received a phone call from my friend Bill Porter, who at the time was living in a small fishing village on the backside of Hong Kong Island. He was in high spirits because he'd sweet-talked the all-news radio station he worked for into paying him handsomely to travel in mainland China. His job would be to write several 3-minute scripts a day for the radio, keeping track of his travels and brief histories of places he chose to visit. I got my itinerary already figured out for the first trip, he told me. I'm going to cover the area south of the Yangtze River. This was where huge cultural, political, and spiritual changes took place during the Song and Tang dynasties that left the country and its people forever altered. Where the great poets of the time were often banished, where the science and art of tea began, where ceramics, porcelain, silk, paper making, and printing soared to new heights. If you can scrape the money together to get here, I can cover most of our expenses on the big fat per diem they're allowing me. How about it? You want to come along? 2 weeks later, we were tramping through the southern sacred mountains of China. This short suite of poems come from that trip. So that's kind of what happened. And actually, subsequent to that, the next year, Bill and I did another trip from Sion. We did the Silk Road from Sion to Islamabad, Pakistan. And that was the Wild West of the East, believe me. I'm actually working on that book now, too. I've been having a real problem getting the rhythm with it, because I want to be careful that the Silk Road trip was it's a pretty remarkable trip. So actually, Bill's got a beautiful little piece he wrote called The Great Kashgar
Bus Convoy.
Buzz Convoy, that if you ever get a chance, it's going to be a Kyoto magazine, is that right?
Kyoto Journal.
Kyoto Journal.
Next edition.
Anyway, if you ever get a chance, check that out. It's a great story. Okay, this is called Nine Flower Mountain. Perched on the edge of a cloud-torn ridge, high in the mountains of Jowashan, a shaved-head nun sweeps alone the entrance to her vine-covered cave. A few tufts of wind-blown bamboo, the persistent pine growing straight out of stone. A place so graceful, so tough and real, even the immortals feel a shiver up the spine. She spots us ascending the narrow path, sets aside the broom, pours water for tea. Afterward, we burn a stick of incense, leave a 20 on the smoky, lamp-lit altar, then follow her up a rain-polished trail to Moon-Viewing Peak, where the whole of China is spread at our feet. I watch her point out waterfalls that drape like silk from old granite cliffs, and wonder what brought her here so many years ago. A poorly arranged marriage, some magnificent loss of face, or the simple pleasures of living alone in the profound silence of mountains. In the afternoon, black clouds swirl slowly up the valley floor, a signal we must make our way back to buses and dust and a billion scattered souls. But before we go, our nun gives us mooncake, gingered plums, and a walk through the garden, where we leave her grinning at tiger tracks in the sand.